Hello YouTube. Welcome back to my channel again. It's been a long time since I made a video, once again, a few weeks. It's just doing it, with all the holiday and just depression and not feeling like I want to do anything. It's kind of hard. And, just living in this crappy town, small towns, there's just nothing here for me. I want to be in Europe. I want to be in a big city. But I don't have the money and all that shit. So, we'll see what happens in the future. But I want to just thank everybody for all the views, even though I don't have that many followers and I'm put out a lot of fucking videos. I realize it's a niche market what I'm talking about. I mean, I'm not talking about some shitty fucking music today, so otherwise I would get a lot of subscribers. But I mean, that's just not how I am. I want to make money off this, but I know it's probably not going to happen. Anyway, Happy New Year. What I'm going to do is talk about all the albums I bought. Well, I bought more than this, but I just picked out a handful. I didn't buy a lot of new albums this year. Like previously, I usually just try to save money and add to my collection instead. But I bought a handful of new albums from 2022. But here we go. Some of them were new, like first pressings, finally released on vinyl, stuff like that. So I'm not counting those as new because they're not new albums, they're just newly pressed. But they're included, some of them. So let's just get started. I'm going to do this pretty quick because I have around 20-ish albums here. I just want to show them off for you guys. And a few of them I already talked about briefly on old videos. And I'm not going to talk about my video I made or albums I made from my trip to Sweden and Finland because I just talked about that. I'll put the video at the end here. So let's start it off. This is Enough's Enough Blue Island. This is the first time I actually had this album, as I never bought the CD when it came out like 20 years ago. And this is basically the last Donny Vai led album with Enough's Enough. I think there was another one that came out, Dissonance, but that was all like old demos and shit that never got released. So this was the actual last studio album. Yeah, and it has a lot of. It's it's pretty strong. Saturday, Good Times Are Hard to Find, Sanibel Island. It's a pretty solid album. It's actually maybe top five or six in their discography. Damn, hair's in my way. And next, no need to introduce this album. This is the new Megadeth album. I got this at Walmart because I fucking Sam Goody. I have a Sam Goody, but they never get anything in anymore, so I just got the Walmart issue. This is one of my favorite albums by them. I did a Megadeth ranking. I would probably put this right behind Dystopia. A lot of people like Dystopia, or like this one more than Dystopia, but I still like Dystopia just a tad bit more. And I think I had Dystopia 6th on my Megadeth ranking. It's been a while. So yeah, it's right around there, 6th, 7th. This would be right behind it. So it's a really fucking solid album. One of my favorite releases of the year. I mean, Life in Hell is my favorite on the album. Dogs of Chernobyl is another favorite of mine. The title track's good. Soldier On's not bad. I mean, there's not really much to talk about because everybody knows that album. Next up, I also bought that on CD too, the Megadeth, and I have this on CD as well, and that's the new Ugly Kid Joe album, Rad Wings of Destiny, and it's okay. It could have been a lot better. The last one before this was better, but it has about 3 or 4 songs that are pretty good. The rest, not so much. Failure, which I dedicate to myself. That's my favorite song off the album. And it has, what else is on here? That Ain't Livin', which is the first single, which is pretty damn solid. Ugly Kid Joe song. Don't have the damn title track or the title listing on the back. Not like the other. That's another good one. And that's about all that's really on this album. That's decent. Dead Friends Play, which is a nod to like Lemmy and all the metalheads and rockers that died in the past. It's a pretty decent song. I didn't open this one, but there's no introduction because I got the CD and cassette, and then this is the special edition. What's it say? Blue and yellow vinyl. I got this off of Amoeba. It's supposed to be for like the supporting Ukraine and shit like that. So yeah, but doesn't need to be talked about because everybody has heard it. My favorite songs off this one, though, is the one with Tony Iommi when it sounds just like a Black Sabbath song. No Escape from Now, fucking amazing song. Mr. Darkness, about depression, I can relate to it. Probably my 2 favorites. Degradation Rules, another Iommi an Aussie song collaboration. It's decent, it's pretty good. and the title track. Those are my favorites off this album. Next up, the reason why I wanted to show this is the European Black Friday from last year. You can see the collar vinyl right there. It was supposed to come out here, but they canceled it, so I got it. I still was able to get it, but it was only released in Europe. This is my favorite Poison album ever. It has, like, all the people's songs like Unskinny Bob, the title track, Life Goes On, Ride the Wind, and my favorite Poison song, Something to Believe In. Next up, I wanted to get this one just because I never had it on CD, kind of like the Welcome to Blue Island. This is the American Blitzkrieg. I think it came out in 2000 by Babylon AD, and it's on Night of the Vinyl Dead Records, and it's numbered to 400. This is 169, and it's nothing special. It's definitely the more more modern sound, of course, because it's late 90s, early 2000s. I can't remember all the songs that I liked off this album. The title track, Magic Mary, Sinking in the Sand, Skies Falling. It's a decent album. I mean, it's nothing special, but I always wanted to get it. And when I found out it was on vinyl, I saw it in Columbus and on Record Store Day weekend, and I picked it up. Speaking of Record Store Day weekend, I talked about this album on my LA Guns ranking video. It's one of my favorite LA Guns albums. I think it's like fourth or fifth, and it's just really solid. It was the comeback with Tracy Guns in the early 2000s. Don't Look at Me Now, Okay Let's Roll, about 9/11, the title track, the ballad, Hellraiser's Ball. Just a solid fucking album. There's only one track on this album I don't like, and that's Frequency. The rest are all solid. Sorry if I'm going through this so fast, but that's just, I have a lot of shit here, and I don't want to keep you waiting or make two parts. I just wanted to get through it. Next up, this is a special edition box set that was released, I think, in April by the band, and it had like a shirt, which I've got, a demo CD, the original album on CD, and it's numbered. I forget what number it is. It's over there somewhere. But yeah, this is from their experimental period, and it's like a goth rock album. And this album's growing on me. My favorite Creator 90s album, minus Coma of Souls, their experimental album, it might be this one or Cause for Conflict. But this one, I don't know. It's really definitely a grower, that's for sure, because it has... Golden Age is one of my favorite Creator songs. It's a fucking awesome song. They made a video for it. Endorama, it's all right. It's a duet with that one Tila Wolf from Lacrimosa, I think that's what the band's called. Shadowlands, another strong track. Chosen Few was the ballad that was released on. It's okay. Everlasting Flame's good. Pandemonium, pretty good song. So that's it. If you want to hear Creator at their hard rockiest, if that's a word. I mean, Coma of Souls is like hard rock thrash, but this is pure just hard rock, gothic rock album, and I did a video on that too, so go back in and check it if you want. And now I'll go into, here's a pile of CDs, I'll just do these. Next up, this was released a few years ago, I think 2020, 2021 maybe, I don't remember, and this is the new Rough Cut album. Nothing special, it's kind of like the American Blitzkrieg, I only listened to it a couple times. I was never a huge Rough Cut fan, but I liked the first couple albums, they were okay. This one has it's not quite 80s sounding, but it has some of 80s sounding, but it also has some modern sounding to it. It's like 50-50. I think Bed of Black Roses, Bleed, Secrets are my favorites. House of Pain, probably my 3 or 4 favorites off this album, but I need to listen to it more to really get into it. Just listen to it really quickly. I did a video on this when it came out too earlier last year. That's Rock Believer. This is the Japanese version of the CD. I also got the vinyl over there, and this might be my favorite album this year. It's one of them, but yeah, Seventh Son, fucking awesome song dating back to like Love Drive and the next album, Animal Magnetism, my favorite song with this. Shining of Your Soul is also, that one's more definitely Love Drive-esque. Those two songs right there go back to the golden age of the Scorpions. It's two of their best songs they've done in a long time. The title track's good, it's catchy. Peacemaker, the first single from this album, is straightforward, fast, in your pace, almost like thrashy. Not quite that fast, but it's one of their heavier songs they've done in a while. And yeah, there's just a lot of good songs on here, and Knock 'em Dead's not bad. I mean, there's not like great songs, but there's not a lot of filler. So it's one of their best albums, if not their best album since Crazy World, in my opinion. And here's another one that's album of the year. And I never got it on any format yet other than CD, and that's Carpe Diem by Saxon. And what can I say about these guys? Nigel Glocker even just said in an interview yesterday, they're making another album already. Saxon is the band that's like a fucking machine that never stops turning. And they don't ever disappoint. What's that? Rock the Nations, that's the one. That's by far their worst in my opinion. But even that, it's still cheesy good. But yeah, they never disappoint. You know what you're going to get from Saxon, and they're just going to fucking keep chucking out great albums after another. And this is one of their better ones. I need to do a Saxon album review. I still have a few to get, like maybe like 5. But I don't think I could fucking... There's no way I could put a definitive ranking on it because there's just so many good albums. And this one, the title track, The Pilgrimage, which is also the second, I think the second video released, Remember the Fallen, about the war heroes. Yeah, Living on the Limit, Age of Steam. I mean, this album is just solid. There's no bad tracks off this one. I would highly recommend it. This might be my favorite. This or the Scorpions, probably, this past year. I found this at my local Sam Goody. This was not the new album, but it was like a compilation of all different songs from their debut up to now, basically. And they had 3 discs. It's not on vinyl, I don't think, but it has disc Earth, disc Sky, disc Sea. It has songs like Crucified from Psycho Schizophrenia, and it has stuff like All's Fair in Love and War from my favorite one, Love and War, I think. But yeah, I mean, it has everything. Nobody Knows, one of my favorite ballads by them. Ghost of Winter, Waiting in the Dark, Misery Loves Company, Misery. So yeah, it's a pretty good compilation. I haven't heard From Wound to Tomb yet. I heard good and bad things, so I don't know. They changed their sound so many times over the years, had so many different singers. But this is a great compilation to pick up if you're big into Lillian X. Next up, I bought this. Everybody hates this album. I don't think it's great. I do not think it's their worst, unlike most people. And that's Shadow Life by Dawkin. I picked it up because I needed this one because I'm going to do a ranking video soon with Dawkin, and I still need their newest one, Broken Bones. Never got it when it came out because I thought it was just going to be sucky. It's okay of an album. Once I pick that up, I'll do a Dawkin review, but the first few tracks are decent. I can listen to it. People say it's a grunge album. To me, it's an alternative album because this came out in 97 and it's more alternative because grunge at that time was pretty much dead. And Puppet on a String has a great drum track to it. And it still has George Lynch-esque guitars in this album, so it's not completely grunge because he still does a lot of his soloing. It's just not pronounced as the other albums. But yeah, The Cracks in the Ground, Sky Beneath My Feet, and another one, that's Sweet Life, which is definitely maybe the most underrated song of the album. That's pretty good. But yeah, not a great album. Most hated by Dawkin fans. That's Shadow Life. And one of my favorite bands, Treat. This was their new album. Fucking CDs fell over. Endgame. Not my favorite. Maybe my least favorite album by Treat. The last few have been... They're not terrible, but the songs are not as good as... Coup de Grace was amazing record. It's one of my favorites. But the last 3, they're fine. My favorites on this are Symbiosis, Home of the Brave, the video. Carolina Reaper, another video. I mean, this is probably my least favorite Treat album, but I haven't listened to it in a while, so got to give it a go again. I didn't get it on vinyl. Next up, a few more vinyl to end it off. This is first ever pressing on Kiss My Wax Records, fully autographed by the living 3 members of Slaughter, and that's Fear No Evil, one of my favorite albums from the grunge era, mid '90s. It's my second favorite. I did a video ranking video on them. I had them second favorite, which is not a popular opinion behind the debut. But it's fucking awesome. It's a really great pressing. It sounds good, and you know, it has "Live Like There's No Tomorrow." It'll be all right. Let the good times roll. Hard times. Yesterday's gone. It's a solid album that deserved definitely better than it got. I think it might have hit the top 200 if it was lucky. But yeah, shit, fucking hitting everything. Next up, I just purchased this one. It's one of my favorite Blind Guardian albums. I also got the new one, but I only wanted to put one entry per band here. And this is like their Black Sheep album. A lot of people love this album, but a lot of people think it's not Blind Guardian because it's like Queen meets Blind Guardian. And, you know, Hansi Kirch's voice is just something else. Battlefield is one of my favorite Blind Guardian songs of all time. Precious Jerusalem, the opener, is a fucking great song. Also, Under the Ice. What else do I like on here? Sad Sings Destiny, another great song, and their longest song they've ever made, And Then There Was Silence, 14 plus minutes. It's really different Blind Guardian album because it has a lot of symphonic opera-ish type stuff on it. But like I said, Blind Guardian's always had that different sound to their power metal. It's Hansi Kirch's voice is unlike anything else, and it's not traditional like Hammerfall or something like you would think. So, yeah, definitely check this out if you haven't heard it. It came out, I think, 2000, 2001. I can't remember which one. Yeah, it was around the early 2000s, 2000, 2001, 2002. But I remember seeing this album in Sam Goody. I should have picked it up when I did, but when it came out, but I didn't get it. So, highly recommended. Next up, I'm going to talk about my 4 albums here that are really fucking rare and some are sought after. This is probably the highest non-box set album I have that's worth the most. It's right up there, if not number one. That's power metal. The first album was the Phil and Samo, and it's my second favorite and only one of 2 albums I like about Pantera fully. This is like Skid Row meets Pantera, and you know it has Proud to Be Loud, you know, Down Below, Death Trap, Hard Ride. It's just solid. I don't know why they don't ever relate to this album. I can see why maybe the first 3, because Terry Glaze was a different singer and different sound, but this is definitely harder than anything they've done. And I think I have the merch sheet. Yeah, look at that. The merch. I can't even speak. The merch sheet. There we go. Right with it. So yeah, that's pretty fucking awesome. The original pressing. And the new Pantera now is just Phil Anselmo by himself with a bunch of fill-ins. It's a joke. But that's just my opinion. Next up, I talked about this one before in a Shooting Gallery, which is a very rare fucking album to find on vinyl. Even CD, you don't see it that much. It's one album by basically Andy McCoy of Hanoi Rocks from Finland. And this is the only album they had. And Billy G. Bang couldn't sing for worth a damn. He's no Michael Monroe. But it has some good songs on it. Teenage Breakdown, Nature is My Business, Don't Never Leave Me, Hanoi Rocks version, or their version. Brown Eyed Girl, terrible. That's a terrible cover. But yeah, it's not bad. Just don't expect a great vocal performance, and it's not very memorable. But I do like the sound of it, so it's my type of sound, even though it's lower on the list. But I always wanted it, and it was very rare to find on vinyl. There's another one from Finland, my favorite Finnish band, which I didn't buy their new album yet either, which I should have, and that's Stratovaria's Elements Part 1. This came out in the early 2000s also. I found this, and it was just like, this is rare as shit. You don't ever see it very often. And all their early 2000s and 90s albums are really expensive on vinyl, and I don't want to pay like hundreds and hundreds of dollars. And this is the white vinyl, I think. Yeah, white vinyl. And yeah, it's a solid album. I don't know which Elements album I like more. This one has Eagle Heart, the single that they made a video for. Learning to Fly, they're my 2 favorites. Find Your Own Voice. I probably prefer the second one. I Walked My Own Songs, Soul of a Vagabond. But Elements Part 1 is pretty good too. And last but not least, I don't want to keep dragging this out. It's been 20 minutes. I talked about this one already too. This is McQueen Street, the original from 1991, I think it came out. and they're back together now. They released a couple demos, and I have the second one too on CD, but it was never released on vinyl because it didn't come out until like 2000 something. It was, even though it was recorded in '93, I think. And this one is really rare on vinyl, and it even has an autographed photo, which is really fucking sweet. You don't ever see that. Well, it's not. Yeah, it's autographed. It's just hard to see. And in My Religion, Money, Two Worlds, Only the Winds. Great song, or great album, and it's not ever talked about. And there's the height sticker. So that's just some of the albums I bought this past year. There's more that I just grabbed enough already. It's already 20-minute video. But let me know what you think of these albums and what's your favorite one. Do you want any of these? Do you have any of these in your collection? I know it's been a while, so I don't know when I'll make another video. I want to do that Dawkin one eventually, and maybe the Black Sabbath. Speaking of the Black Sabbath, finally, Tony Iommi confirmed that the Tony Martin era will get reissued, so I'll be able to get those vinyl without fucking paying $400 or $500 for a couple of them. Anyway, I'll put a video in the end here. You can watch maybe like the one I bought for my trip if you haven't yet, and please subscribe. It means the world to me because I'm just a metalhead talking to you. I don't have a special video. I don't have any connections. I don't have any of that shit that everybody else does. So I just do it for everybody else. So once again, Happy New Year. Thanks for watching. See you next time around. Rock on.